Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Episode 3 of season 3.
Of Matt Takes Over Double Bill Film Club,
Yeah.
where he makes us do
Or double
directors.
feature film club.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
it's Double Bill
'cause,
Film Club.
uh,
I've always
I,
called
I,
it Double
I,
Bill
always,
Film Club.
I always say double feature because
Oh
I
well,
like the
it's a different show now, guys. Has a
I
whole
like
different
the
title. It's season 1.
I like the alliteration of F and F. So double feature film club. So yeah,
Not really an alliteration because there's 2 words either side of it.
God, it just makes it a sandwich. So yeah, which is even better because everyone likes a sandwich and
Feature
anyone
film
doesn't.
sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. Um, So this season is all about directors. So far we've had Steven Spielberg, we've had James Wan, and now we're going for one of our countrymen, Mr. Christopher Nolan. Obviously Nolan, a very interesting director. He's one of the very, very, very few directors left where his name alone will sell the film. And I think, obviously Tenet didn't do quite so well, but then the pandemic sort of got in the way, so we'll never really know how well Tenet was going to do. But he's, because of the Batman films, definitely made such a name for himself that all of his other films since then have actually done really, really good money at the box office.
Speaking of Batman, should I come in with my first choice, my Nolan choice?
Go on then.
I was going to pick The Dark Knight. And I was
This is interesting because James is not the biggest fan of the Nolan Batman films as Batman films.
Oh, I think they're great films. I don't think they do a good job of representing Batman in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But they are very good films. So I was going to pair Dark Knight with Batman Forever so people could see what a good Batman film looks like. But I didn't go that route. No. I picked Dark Knight Rises. Which is, most people consider the weakest part of Nolan's Bat trilogy, although I really like it.
Yeah. Although I think, like, there's weak and there's weak. I think, like, that would be like
a lot of people
saying,
criticise it for having plot holes, but he's just travelling by map. It's fine. That's how film works.
He's just travelling by map. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter that it doesn't take him long to fly from the Middle East back to Gotham.
It doesn't take that long to get back from the Middle East to Gotham anyway.
No.
And it's not like it was. We watched.
Well, it's just the Middle East to Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, last year we watched the truly awful American TV series Scorpion, and that is one of the last bastions of like great American TV where it is so xenophobic it couldn't get any they somehow managed to fly from LA to Kazakhstan, do an entire mission and back in less than 24 hours.
Yeah. Time zones.
Because America has America planes. I
was pricing up flights to New York the other day. And because of time zones, a flight that's 7 hours long with a 7-hour layover in Dublin only takes 7 hours.
Well, it does, yeah. It's only 7 hours, James.
Yeah. That might feel like 13 hours, but it's not because of time.
Well, I mean, 7 plus 7 would be 14 for starters, but yeah.
I always get those two mixed up. I don't know why I always think it's 13. 14 doesn't sound right. I'm changing the rules. 7 plus 7 is now 13. That is, you've heard it here first, folks.
There we go.
Maths has changed.
Maths has changed. Yeah, I mean, we do live in a universe of alternate facts now. If you feel that maths is wrong, then maths is wrong.
But yeah, so I like the plot. It's a great cast. We get more Michael Caine, Alfred in it up. It's my favourite of the 3, I think. It's not the best. Dark Knight is the best of the 3.
Yeah.
But I think this is my favourite of the 3.
I think it's a great resolution to the trilogy. Like,
and
like it
and
draws a nice line in the sand.
I'm pairing it with the film it is a spiritual remake of
Hmm.
Batman 66. Because some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Yep.
And they do have similar plots.
Yes.
At least certainly the final act, like the big action scene from the final act, is basically the same, right? Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne trying to dispose of a bomb.
Yeah, and like it's sort of a rogues gallery as well because in '66 it's
Joker,
you see
Penguin, Riddler.
most of the main
Yeah,
villains.
all the popular villains from the TV show, right?
And in this one, obviously they couldn't show Ledger's Joker again. Although you kind of get the feeling that there was potentially some influence
Well,
from the
you've got
Joker.
Catwoman, Talia, Bane,
And what do you call it?
Scarecrow. Is he in it?
Scarecrow.
Well, he's a through line for all three, isn't he?
He is, yeah, but obviously he's returning prominently from the first.
Adam West is just a fantastic Batman as well. If you're someone who hasn't seen Batman 66 because you're like, oh, it's old or it's gonna be too camp. I mean, it is camp. There's no denying that. But do yourself a favour. Go and watch it with an open mind. Batman doesn't have to be grim dark. Like there's flavours of Batman, and this is a go and taste strawberry Batman, as opposed to dark chocolate Batman.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the various different flavors of Batman. Like I'd say Snyder's Batman is most certainly 97% cooking chocolate grade Batman. I love a dark chocolate. I'm allergic to milk, so I've grown up on dark chocolate. And like, the bitterness that you get from eating pure cooking chocolate, like that even I can't take that.
Speaking of,
that was certainly the Snyder Batman. I'd say the Nolan one. The Nolan one is almost like a hipster grade dark chocolate.
The Schumacher ones are chocolate absolutely full of sugary candy.
Yeah, they're the Cadbury Marvelous Creation ones.
Yeah,
the one that like spawned from the short run with the Willy Wonka brand.
Yeah.
So he's got popping candy in it and all sorts of stuff like that, and then you've got the dark milk that is the Tim Burton films.
Yes.
Because of course the Burton films really are just moody versions of Batman 66.
Yeah.
Because they're so camp and ridiculous. And
then the Schumacher films are just heightening the camp up even higher.
Yeah. Still in the dark, but with slightly lighter lighting. Like there's a bit more neon. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think it's
I think these films work as these films almost work because they don't mesh outside of both being Batman films. Like this is going to be two very distinct flavors of Batman. And I know there'll be people who say like, but the Batman 66 is not like Batman. It's like, yeah, everything's like Batman.
Yeah.
These characters have been around for 80 odd years at this point.
Yeah.
Like
Batman's grown and changed.
Yeah.
What we'll get in, like what we're going to get in March with the Batman.
I certainly say for a certain era of time, Batman 66 maybe is the most comic accurate Batman live action we've ever had. Maybe not to modern comics, but certainly to its
what existed at the time. Yeah.
To its era, to that Silver Age kind of Batman. It's certainly, I think, more accurate than say more modern ones are to modern comics.
Yeah.
Like the Nolan trilogy, for better or worse, tries its hardest to be as little to do with a comic book as possible, because you can never shake the feeling that Nolan is embarrassed by the very notion of comics.
Maybe. I think like
there is the whole.
Obviously, he was an interesting choice for the director in the first place.
I think they're great. I think they're great films, but there is very much the Nolan trilogy. Very much does have that. It almost has a disdain and a distaste for what it's based on.
But I wonder whether that is or whether it's whether it's Goya, because obviously Goya was so in.
I don't know. I'd say Goya probably likes comics more than I think it was. Because you look at
Goya likes kind of dark, moody comics, and he is quite critical of and like he's quite he's
also,
quite snobbish in a certain
for one
way.
Also, I guess Dark Knight Rises has Robin as well as Batman in '66.
Yeah,
just about.
Yeah.
Robin is cool. Robin is not something. Batman works with Robin. He works better with Robin. You don't have to remove Robin from the equation to make Batman.
Although I can see why it would be like directors would be nervous, because obviously Robin in the Schumacher films, at least, obviously he's 15 years too old for starters. But
he kind of works though.
He kind of works. Like it does. Like,
the thing with especially in the modern era of comic books, at least, the thing with the Dick Bruce dynamic is more older brother, younger brother than it is father son. Like he may have a more father son relationship with some of the latter Robins, including his own actual son, but the dynamic, especially once he becomes like Nightwing and stuff, is that Alfred was kind of both their father figures, and Bruce was the. It's what's that TV show where the siblings all raise each other because the parents are dead?
Off of the 90s.
Yeah, it's been advertised.
Party of Five.
Party of Five, yes. Batman is just Party of Five in spandex, as a concept.
Yeah, instead of plaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been advertised to me a lot on some service lately.
Oh, no.
I want to say Channel 4 has it, and I've been watching Channel 4 stuff. It's been popping up in the adverts like, hey, watch Party of Five. And I've been tempted. I have a soft spot for the 90s plaid era.
I was always more of a Dawson's Creek man.
I like Dawson's Creek as well. And then the 90s plaid era accumulates in Smallville.
Yes. Yeah.
In the early noughties.
Having a good rewatch of. Yeah.
But what are your choices, Matt?
This was difficult because I love Nolan.
I appreciate Nolan more than I love Nolan, I think.
Yeah, that's a fair enough comment. I can see why you wouldn't love Nolan.
Certainly more recent Nolan.
You see, the thing is, I like the fact that
he seems to be getting more sterile with every.
I still haven't seen Tenet, and I want to see Tenet.
See, I haven't, and I just every time I've had the opportunity to see it, my brain's just gone. You could probably do something else.
I like the fact that he's digging his heels in, and he's abusing the fact that, as we said, that like he is one of the few directors that his name alone will sell a film. I like the fact that he's digging his heels in and going, I'm making the film I want to make. Like, and for better or worse, I think that's great, because obviously one of the criticisms of Hollywood in general is that they do a lot of copy paste and just churn out the same old crap all the time. And especially when it comes to things like remakes and stuff. And the fact that he's had success doing Batman, doing one of the largest pop culture franchises that there is, and then Warner Brothers for the longest time then just essentially just gave him a blank check for any other film that he wanted to make.
Be interesting to see where he goes now.
Is he with Paramount now?
I don't know, but obviously Warner annoyed him over Tenet, didn't they? So he's pretty much killed that relationship.
I think it's Paramount. I think he's jumped to Paramount for a bit. I might be wrong, but I know he like.
But so what was your Nolan film?
it's a very difficult choice, but I think I'm going to go with Dunkirk.
See, Dunkirk was a film that ended my love of Nolan films.
Go on, why?
I love Interstellar. I don't know. I just left it feeling like, yeah, that was a.
You see, I very close to that, to Interstellar.
I watched Dunkirk in his preferred way. I was sitting in an IMAX screen.
Likewise.
And it just left me cold. Like, I watched it, it's like, yeah, that's very well made. I never have any desire to watch it again.
I'm not sure I ever want to watch it again. I think that, for me, it was. I likewise watched it on an IMAX.
Again, for the story he's doing, he didn't have to be as clever as he sometimes insists on being. The whole timey-wimey stuff of Dunkirk just, I don't think, functions to serve the film well.
I disagree. I actually thought that was.
I think it's fair because Nolan likes doing it, and I don't think it serves the story he's trying to tell.
Well, I thought it did. I know, obviously, one of the bigger criticisms that people made was the fact that none of the characters have names, except for like the admiral.
It feels,
which I like. I like the fact that they don't. I like the fact that it can represent.
It feels like you're watching
anyone's family.
Two films that are at war with each other, and neither of them win. An emotionally affecting war story, and this weird little puzzle box he wants you to figure out. And one of those things doesn't fit. But we're not talking about my views on it. We're talking about why you picked it.
I mean, the thing is that I think this is why actually I like Nolan so much. I like the fact that you can have disagreements. Like, me and you have relatively similar taste. We don't agree on everything, obviously, but like we have enough in common that's one of the reasons that we're such good friends. Like, and we do these chats and things. That, like, I like the fact that there is a director like him that can get funded to do something that. Yes, because of his name, is probably a guaranteed success, but at the same time, it might not be everyone's taste. It's going to create divisions, whether that be in the general public, whether that be critics. It's like him or not, or even his films. Whether it be an individual film or his entire body of work.
As we all know, watch your Nolan films on an iPod Classic out of spite.
No. I mean, I get why people get frustrated with these grumpy old men, and he's not that old either. I think he's only like 50.
The thing is, it's not him being a grumpy old. It's the problem with Nolan in this case was him Tenet shouldn't have come out when it did.
No, it should have waited.
And
Bond showed it was fine.
His insistence on releasing it in the middle of a pandemic and insisting that people go and see it was tone deaf, let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, and that is perfectly valid criticism of the man. I don't think actually, like, the thing is that, like,
that's
artistically speaking,
partly created a backlash against Tenet.
Yeah. And again, justifiably so for that particular reason. I think, like, when filmmakers get angry about people like watching their brand new incredible film on their phones, and yes, it's not like, you know, we're walking around now with like ridiculously big screens that are very, very high quality.
I get wanting your film to be watched in the optimum environment. I would argue that they're going to very good cinemas. Because for a lot of people, their local cinema is not an optimum environment. And it's also worth noting that, especially say you're someone who has an iPhone, those screens are cinema graded. Like,
they are, but I mean, you still don't get that feel and the experience.
And in terms of field of view, right? If you were say you were lying on bed.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're sat there, then you're essentially watching a cinema. Like, it's relative, but
I love the big screen.
Experience.
It's my preferred way to watch films. I don't think watching a film on a high quality phone,
Mm.
especially if you've got headphones on, is a particularly limited way to watch it anymore. Like,
No,
it's,
but I'm.
or if you, especially if we're talking about an iPad, which is an even bigger screen, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or even just a decent telly. Like, I mean, the thing is that like most modern TVs are so good,
well,
and of course
that's the thing.
significantly larger than they used to be.
Most people's iPads and phones have better screens than I'd say most people's tellers.
Mm.
Unless you've got a very high end telly,
Yeah.
most people's phones are better quality screens than their televisions.
I suppose if you're watching it alone as well, like
Yes,
you know, like you say,
there's
in
a
your
whole thing.
bed.
I don't think a phone is a like. Say if I was on a plane and I have a choice between watching a plane movie on whatever low res monitor they've got in front of me,
Yeah.
or a film on my phone or my tablet. I'm gonna watch a film on my phone or my tablet,
Yeah, I get you.
unless I'm really bored and I'm just flicking through what choices are on. But like, I get directors wanting their films to be watched on a big screen. I would if I was making a film.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's bad to say, hey, I really think this looks great on the big screen. Watch it on the big screen. I think if your film doesn't work on a small screen, your film potentially isn't as good as you think it is. Like, if your film fundamentally requires a big screen to function, if it requires the spectacle to work, and some films are just spectacles, but if your film is solely reliant
I mean,
on
like
spectacle,
say like a oh God, what's his name? Did Day After Tomorrow, all those big disaster films.
Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, like a Roland Emmerich film.
I'm really looking forward to his new disaster film.
Like, I wouldn't want to watch that on a phone because, like, it that is something that actually, like.
I'm saying that I don't think a phone, especially in 2021, is a terrible place to watch films.
No.
You're especially if you're someone who travels a lot or moves like.
No, yeah, totally.
I think the point is like saying I think my film looks great on the big screen. I think is a perfectly fine thing to say. Effectively saying, I don't want you to watch it on a phone. You shouldn't watch it on a phone. You're a bad person if you do watch it on a phone, which is kind of Nolan's trench to a certain extent. Is misjudged in the current era.
I think the other worry with watching it on a phone.
You're less likely to be distracted if your phone is actually the thing you're watching the film on, as well as for.
Well, you see, I'd go the other way around. I think you're probably more likely to be distracted.
No, because if I'm watching a film on my telly, I won't use my phone in a cinema. But if I'm watching a film on a telly, and my phone's next to me. It does not take much for me to be like.
No, I'm more saying that like if like say for film like because obviously a lot of films recently have come out day and date, cinema and streaming service, especially in the States, and like obviously if you're in the cinema. Realistically, unless you're a dick, like you aren't going to be getting your phone out. And yes, if you're getting your phone out in the cinema, you're a dick. Like,
yes, there's no.
Yeah, you are the worst of society.
I mean, there's probably worse crimes, but I'm not going to be. There is, but obviously there's actual crimes. But I'm not going to be.
It should be a crime.
I'm not going to be keen on you if I see you take your phone out in a cinema or talk.
I'll put you in jail. Like, but if I'm at home watching a film on this, or I'm somewhere watching a film on this, I'm going to get notifications. So unless I turn all my notifications off, or put it in airplane mode, it is.
You just put Do Not Disturb on.
But are people going to do it?
No, but even if a notification comes through, you might need to answer. Like, I'm not saying it's. What I'm saying is it's no more distracting than your television.
Yeah. I get you.
And if anything, it's like I'm not talking about comparing it solely. I'm on about the I just don't think a phone is the worst place you can watch a film nowadays. I just don't.
I think if it's something I'm watching to fill my time with, then I'll happily watch it on a phone. Also, if it's something like if it's something like a Nolan film,
let people meet your art wherever you want to meet it. especially for an art form as easily accessed as cinema, as film.
Yeah.
Right? Let people engage with it where they want to engage with it.
I
If
suppose.
you
I
don't
mean,
want it on
there is.
phones, ban it from
Yeah.
home release.
Yeah.
Right? Put a clause in your contract, Nolan, that says you can't have digital releases on your films.
Or you do, but it has to be a 6 month period or something like that, which I think is fine. I
Which he
think
probably did have,
when,
but Warner Bros. Walked all over, which is why he no longer
yeah.
works at Warner
Anyway,
Bros. But yeah,
we'll
what's your
circle
second
back
film?
around.
Because I am going to have
Well,
to move us on.
I haven't quite finished with
Okay.
with that yet. Um, the reason I've chosen this is I'm not a fan of war films, like as a genre. Like it's one of those things that, like, a bit like westerns, I just never got them. Like it, so, and war films for the sake of war films, um, I definitely didn't get. It was like, I know obviously you've got like the Old Man channel, which is essentially just war films and westerns. Like,
Yeah.
or like, no matter what country you live in, as long as you've got like as long as in your country you have multiple channels that run into the like double or even triple digits, there will be
You've
an
got the
Old Man
channel where
channel.
Guns of Navarro is just on repeat.
Always, yeah. The Guns of Navarro channel, like, and like, so for me it was always one of those things that, like, it just completely washed over me because I don't like war. I have no real interest in, like, I don't like the celebration of war that are in so many war films as well, and like, um, or at least the dumbing down of war. If it, like, oh, the good guys are defending blah blah blah,
I mean,
and
I think a certain extent of that is why we're in the boat we're in right now, in
yeah,
general in the world. But that's
yeah,
a conversation for a whole different.
certainly is. Um, and so there are literally a handful of war films, um, ever that I like.
Yeah.
Um, most of the time because it isn't necessarily about war; it's about people, and I
Yes.
think that's why I do like Dunkirk, because it's actually about the running away from war with that one. It's about the human drama. It is about the emergency. It is about the immediacy, and like, I do think that the playing with time and the musical thing, like, obviously it's got that ticking clock that runs
Yeah.
throughout the entire soundscape for the whole thing. I do think that worked, and so it is a rare film for me to enjoy as a war film. My other choice will be another war film. It could have been Saving Private Ryan. Similar reason. It was a war film that wasn't really a war film. It was a personal study. Um, I even was tempted with On Which We Serve. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that film.
No, I've never seen
Um,
it.
it's a Noel Coward, David Lean co-direction that was made, like, actually in the middle of
Yeah.
World War Two. Sorry, I think it was like 1941, and it's about people serving on a navy boat
Yeah.
in the war. And it was a very important film, really, because it was like giving context to the people at home about the challenges of war. It was a typical Lean in that it was probably quite far ahead of its time in the way that it told that story. But I'm going to go with Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket.
Another film I've not seen.
Um, Again, oddly enough, I'm not a big Kubrick fan. In the same way, I'm not a big war film fan, and yet somehow this is a war film by Stanley Kubrick that I actually like.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's because it isn't explicitly a war film in the traditional sense. You follow a character who is a war journalist. Basically, he is in the army, but he's a journalist for the army, and it's really hard hitting, quite graphic at times, very emotional. It's all about the person. It's all
Yeah.
about the people. And I suppose it was in an era as well of like a bit more honesty with war films as well, because obviously before that you'd had Apocalypse Now, and Platoon was around the similar time and stuff like that. So it was it was one that was critiquing and questioning, like, why do we have war and things like that. And I think that so it's a rare occasion, actually. I think that Kubrick was an excellent director, because he I suppose his modern equivalent would be Snyder, who's a fantastic cinematographer, but I would say at best a good director, and that's when he's on a very short leash. I think the same for Kubrick. I don't think Kubrick most of the time is a great director. I think he's an incredible artist, but not necessarily a great director. And I think this is the one film actually that possibly shows that he is a great director as well.
On that rather controversial statement there, I am unfortunately going to have to kind of wrap us up, because
no, that's fine.
Half 10. So yeah, there's 2 double bills for you.
Very different ones.
Different ones. Mine isn't entirely necessarily a serious one. Matt's is more of a serious one.
And I think that's the beauty of Nolan. I think that
mine exists, if anything, to poke fun at him a little bit, I think. But
and that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But I think that's why he's important. Like, he is someone that you can poke fun at. You can also applaud. You can agree with, disagree with, all those things. But on that note,
we will see you for another Double Bill Film Club Director special sometime. These aren't going out on any regular occurrence. These are special one-off episodes, as you may have noticed by now. That we may or may not be using to plug gaps. Who knows?
Maybe.
And on that note, we shall see you soon.
We'll see you next time. Bye.